Okay, next we're gonna sew the back and the front panel together at the shoulder seam here. And doesn't matter which panel you choose to be the front or the back because they are the same. And we're gonna use the long tail that we left earlier for sewing. And before we sew, make sure you put the wrong side for both panel facing up because we're gonna sew on the wrong side. Okay, so now my back panel wrong side facing up, my front panel wrong side facing up. Okay, here it's kind of big, it's difficult to see. I just want to show you in the paper here just to make sure that you see what's going on here. Okay, so this is my back panel, which is this one. This is how it's laid up, like this so far. And this is my front panel, which is this one, and this one is laid up like this so far. And we're gonna sew the shoulder seam on the wrong side right here. Okay, here is the neck hole. All right, here is the neck hole, here is the shoulder, here is the shoulder. All right, let's get sewing. So I'm gonna sew this side, this shoulder first. I already have my yarn needle in here. This is the long tail that I left earlier, come from the back panel here. See? And yeah, let me zoom in real quick. Okay, for sewing, you can use any method you prefer. Okay? And yeah, I use my yarn needle here. And my tail come from the back panel. And then I'm gonna insert my yarn needle into the front panel, into the third chain. Right here. Like that. Okay? And then I bring my back panel up and insert into the first stitch where the tail come from. One loop only. And bring it out. And then insert into the next stitch of the front panel. Front loop only. Just one loop, and then go to the back panel into next stitch, front loop only. I'm just gonna sew back and forth like that. And then next stitch of the front panel, front loop only, and next stitch of the back panel, front loop only. Don't sew too tight or too loose. And then insert into next stitch, front loop only of the front panel, and the next stitch of the back panel, front loop only. And keep going, repeat the same thing, insert into the next stitch of the front panel, and then insert into the next stitch of the back panel. And then insert into the next stitch of the front panel, always front loop only. And then insert into the next stitch of the back panel, front loop only. Like that. I'm just gonna keep repeating the same thing. Next stitch, front loop only, next stitch, front loop only. Like that. Okay, and again, you can use any method you prefer. This is how I'm gonna sew for this sweater. And this is the wrong side, and this is the right side. Okay, and yeah, you're gonna keep sewing this. Make sure don't sew too tight or too loose, and keep sewing until you reach the end here, and then I will be back. Take your time. Now I sew till I reach the end here, but I haven't sewed the last stitch yet. I just want to show you. So for the last stitch of the front panel, gonna be this one, front loop only, and then for the back panel, gonna be into the third chain. That is the last stitch right here. Right here, sorry. Okay, like that. And next, I'm just gonna hide the tails with the end. So I'm gonna tie those tails together. Okay, so tie one more knot and then hide the tail. Insert around here. And then insert back like that. Okay, make sure it's secure, and then you trim the tail and you're done. And you're gonna hide this tail, and you're gonna hide this tail as well. Alright, and now we have one side sew for the shoulder. See, this is the neck hole. And then next, you're gonna sew the other shoulder exactly the same. Whatever method you use for that shoulder, you're gonna sew this shoulder exactly the same. And also use the long tail that we left earlier for sewing. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and sew this shoulder, and then after that, I will be back and we will sew the sleeve into the sweater. I will be back. Okay, next, after I have my both shoulder sewn, and next I'm gonna sew the sleeve into the sweater, the back and the front panel. Okay, alright, so this is kind of big. I'm gonna show you in the paper here real quick. So this is my back panel, which is this one, and this is the front panel, which is this one. Okay, and here is the neck hole. This is the shoulder seam. Okay, I'm gonna put like this. Here is what it looks like right now. The back and the front panel. I already sewed this shoulder and sewed this shoulder. And next, we're gonna sew the sleeve. Here is my sleeve, and here is my sleeve on the paper. I'm gonna put like this with the wrong side facing up, all the panels. We're gonna sew on the wrong side, and then make sure the sleeve is even on both panel. Okay, the center it should be at the shoulder seam like this. All right. So here my sleeve. So my sleeve here, I have 61 double crochet stitches, so I want it even on both panel. So I place my middle stitch marker here at the shoulder seam, and then place on the 31st stitch at the sleeve. So I have 30 stitches here and 30 stitches here. Alright, and then I'm gonna count the row on the front panel. So start count the row from the shoulder seam. So here is the shoulder seam. This is the first row. I'm gonna count until I have 15 rows and place this stitch marker I show you. So here is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. See, I have 15 rows, and I place this stitch marker into the row 15th, and then place into the first stitch of the sleeve. So 15 rows on the front and 30 stitches on the sleeve this side. I'm gonna sew that together like this. Okay, so that means in 2 stitches on the sleeve, I'm gonna sew into the 1 row, okay, of the front panel. Because it have 15, this have 30. So yeah, 2 stitches in 1 row. 2 stitches in 1 row, like that, okay? But yeah, whatever you're comfortable with and whatever method you want to use, feel free to use your own style, whatever you prefer. I just want to show you how I sew mine. So also on this side, I count 15 rows as well and place the stitch marker into the row 15th on the back panel here. 15 rows and place the stitch marker there, and then place the stitch marker into the last stitch of my sleeve. So I have 15 rows here and then 30 stitches here, and also in 2 stitches on my sleeve I'm gonna sew into 1 row of the back panel like that. 2 stitches here, 1 row there, 2 stitches here, 1 row there, like that. Make sure it's even. That's all that matters. And make sure you don't sew too tight or too loose. Alright, so let's get sewing. Let me zoom in a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna start sew from this stitch marker. I have my yarn needle here, and we're gonna use the tail that we left earlier for sewing. And use any method you prefer, and make sure it's wrong side facing up for all the panels. Okay, now wrong side facing up. We're gonna sew on the wrong side. So this is the end of row 15th on my front panel. I'm gonna insert my needle into that, the end of row 15th, right there, sorry, right here, and then remove the stitch marker, bring the yarn out like that, and then I'm gonna insert into the first stitch of the sleeve both loops, and then go right into the same stitch that I just insert my my needle into, just to make sure it's tight enough, like that. Okay, bring the yarn out. Okay, and then into the next stitch of my sleeve, I insert into both loops, and then insert into this row, row 15, right here. So now I have 2 stitches on my sleeve right into one row of the front panel, which is row 15. So I move on to the next stitch of my sleeve, always both loops, and then insert into the next row of the front panel, which is row 14 here. And then insert into the next stitch of the sleeve, both loops, always both loop, okay? And then I insert into row 14 again, because 2 stitches of the sleeve we're gonna sew in just one row on the front panel, like that. I'm just gonna sew back and forth, make sure not too tight or too loose, and then insert into the next stitch of the sleeve, and then insert into the next row of the front panel here, like that. Insert into next stitch of the sleeve, and then insert into the same row of the front panel, right there. This is what I'm gonna sew, okay? And then next stitch of the sleeve, and then next row of the front panel here, and next stitch of the sleeve, and then the same row of the front panel, right here. Alright, this is what I'm gonna sew. Here's what it looks like on the wrong side so far, and here is what it looks like on the right side. Okay, you're gonna keep sewing this. Make sure it's even, take your time, and make sure when you come to the middle stitch marker here, make sure that both stitch, you're gonna sew both stitch at the same time, okay? So yeah, keep sewing, take your time, make sure it's even, don't sew too tight or too loose, and I will be back when you reach the end here. Good luck. Okay, now I sew the sleeve until I reach the end here, and I already removed the last stitch marker, and next I just gonna hide this tail. Just insert back here, nothing fancy, just try to hide the tail. And then I'm gonna tie a knot right here, and then keep hiding the tail. Insert back. Yeah, make sure it's secure, and then you trim the tail and you're done. And here's what it looks like on the back. Sorry, on the wrong side. And here's what it looks like on the right side. Here's where we just sew. See? Beautiful. Yeah. And then you're gonna sew the other sleeve exactly the same on the other side. I already sewed that. I'm gonna show you. So here, see, this is the sleeve, and here is where we just sew, and here the front, here the back, here the shoulder seam, and here the neck hole, and here the other shoulder seam, and here this the other sleeve, and here is I sew here already, exactly the same. Okay, and here's the end, like that. Yeah, you need to sew exactly the same. Whatever method you use for this side, you're gonna sew the other side exactly the same. And after you have both sleeves sewn, and next we're gonna sew the side seam and then the sleeve. And yeah, I will be back. Okay, after I have both sleeves sewn here, and my work is look like this. And next we're gonna sew the side seam. To do that, you're gonna fold your sweater in half with the right sides facing each other. And I fold this sweater in half like this. Like this. Here is what my project look like right now. And then next we're gonna cut a new strand of yarn. I cut about 70 to 80 inches long, enough to sew the side seam all the way up till you reach the armpit here, and then all the way down till you reach the end of the sleeve. Okay, and yeah, I show you in here. So here, after I fold my sweater in half, here's what this look like. Here's my sleeve, the other sleeve. Okay, here's the neck hole, and here the bottom. So here the right side is facing each other. We're gonna sew on the wrong side. I already sewed this side. Here's what this look like on the wrong side. See? Okay, I'm gonna turn this way. We're gonna start sew from the bottom. I already have my new strand of yarn cut, and then I'm gonna start sew at the bottom here, and let me zoom in real quick. Okay, I have my yarn needle and my new strand of yarn here, and I'm gonna insert into the corner here. I'll call this the front panel, and I call that the back panel, and insert that needle right at the corner like that, and pull the yarn out. You can use any method you prefer. Okay, so for me, I'm just gonna sew back and forth. And then I insert into the next stitch of the front panel, next stitch of the back panel. Pull the yarn out, and then insert into the next stitch of the front panel, next stitch of the back panel, like that. Pull the yarn out, and next stitch of the front, next stitch of the back, like that. Next stitch of the front, next stitch of the back. Next stitch of the front, next stitch the back, like that. Next stitch the front, next stitch the back, like that. Okay, and again, use any method you prefer. This is how I'm gonna sew. I'm gonna sew back and forth, and this is difficult to see the normal stitches because it's the end of each row that we sew, but yeah, I kinda guess where I'm gonna insert my needle into. But whatever you do, make sure it's both sides is even. Make sure the end of each row is lining up like this. See, the end of row 1 for my back panel and the end of row 1 for my front panel is lining up. And the end of row 2 there, the end of row 2 here is lining up. The end of row 3 there, the end of row 3 here, lining up. Like that. That's all the matter. Okay? Yeah, I'm gonna keep sewing this. Make sure don't sew too tight or too loose, and use any method you prefer. Keep sewing this all the way up till you reach the armpit here. And then when you reach the armpit, you're gonna continue sew the sleeve all the way down till you reach the cuff. And then you also can continue sew the cuff until the end and weave the end, or I'm gonna show you how I sew my cuff if you wanna see. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna keep sewing until I reach the armpit, and then continue sewing the sleeve until I reach the beginning of my cuff, and I will come back and show you how I sew the cuff. Alright, take your time. Good luck. I will be back. Okay, now I reach the cuff here, and I will show you how I do it. Okay, and also you can do whatever you prefer. Okay, so I'm gonna insert into the first stitch of the cuff here, both loops on this side, and then the other side I'm gonna go into the back bump right here, like that. And I'm just gonna repeat that. I insert into the next stitch this side, both loops, see the V here, both loops, and then I go to the other side, I insert into the back bump right here. Okay, pull the yarn out, and then insert into the next stitch of this side, both loops, and then the other side, insert into the next bump right here, like that. One loop only on this side into the bump loop. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I'm just gonna repeat that. Insert into the next stitch of this side, both loops, and then the other side, one loop only, right into the bump loop, like that. Repeat that. Next stitch here, both loop, next stitch there into the back bump, like that. And again, you can sew whatever you prefer. I just want to show how I do it. So next stitch here, both loop, next stitch there into the back bump, like that. Next stitch here, both loop, next stitch there into the back bump, like that. Yes, look like on the right side. You see, you can't even tell where I sew it. It's look the same. It's beautiful. That's what I'm gonna sew, and I'm gonna show you on this side. So see, here is the wrong side where I sew. I sew the same as this one. Okay, this is the wrong side, and here is the right side. All look the same. Here is where I sew, but all is look the same. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna keep sewing like this. Next stitch both loop here, and next stitch there into the back bump, like that. Next stitch here, both loop, and next stitch there into the back bump, like that. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna keep sewing like this until I reach the end, and I will be back. Okay, now I reach the end here, and I need to weave the end and hide the tail. So I insert back. A little difficult sometimes. Okay, so you're gonna keep hiding the tail, make sure it's secure, and you're done, and you whip and you trim the tail. Okay, and also this tail, weave the end and trim the tail. And yeah, both sides you're gonna sew exactly the same. After you sew everything, and you're gonna trim all the tail, hide all the tails, and you're done. So I already have both sides sewn here, and I'm done. Okay, now after I weave all my ends and I turn my sweater right side out, and I'm done. Here's what it looks like. Here's the neck hole. Sorry, it's kind of big, cannot show you the whole thing. And here is the sleeve. Here is my beautiful cuff. Beautiful, I love it so much. Look at that. Yeah, and the other sleeve. And here's the body. Beautiful. Yeah, and you can see at the picture as well for the whole sweater. And yeah, congratulations, you just create a very beautiful sweater. And I hope you enjoy making this project. If you do, please give it a thumb up and subscribe to my channel. And if you think this video is helpful and if you enjoy making this project, please share to your friends. It's helped me out a lot, and I appreciate everyone's support and everyone's comments. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next video. Bye bye.